Hey, Inspired House family. I am so excited that y'all are with us again for our mental health and wellness fair. And y'all, for right now, we have an amazing guest. We have the Dr. Lisa Harris. It is so good to be with you.
Thank you so very much for having me here to talk about mental health awareness and in particular about my organization, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's so cool that with stuff like this in Rochester, whether we're looking at mental health, whether we're looking at community engagement, the different groups and the different ways of how things intersect, right? This is a UPrep thing, an AKA thing. We got all the different vendors, and you're coming in and you hold kind of so many hats, and there seems to be just so much that you do that it was just so cool that you'd be willing to hop on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me again.
Definitely. So Dr. Harris, like I said, you do so much. So I would just love to just hand it over to you so that you can introduce and tell the audience about yourself.
So thank you again. Again, I'm Dr. Lisa Harris. I am board certified in internal medicine and pediatrics. That means med-peds. I practiced for 28 years. I currently work for Excellis Health Plan. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for Excellis Health Plan. And that involves me also to be engaged in the community where we have a particular focus on health equity and community partnerships to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the community. I've been a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for 42 years.
Wow.
Where we are engaging the community on all levels because our motto is service to all mankind.
Wow. So that's really interesting. So heading up what's going on in MedPeds with Excelsius, being if I remember correctly, president, right?
Yes, I'm the president of the local chapter.
So being the president of the local chapter of one of the biggest fraternities and one of the most well-known, prestigious fraternities, sororities. Please forgive me, my bad. Charge it to my head and not my heart. All of that is amazing to kind of wrap that up in a bow and to put in just one person. Like, how do you do all of that?
So I represent the chapter. We have over 100 young women of all ages, of all ilks, of all careers that help support the work that we do.
Yes, ma'am.
So Alpha Kappa Alpha is the oldest Greek letter organization founded by Black college women.
Wow.
January 15th, 1908 at Howard University. And since the inception, we have been engaged in community involvement and ensuring that our community is lifted up, that we are doing all kinds of things to support the growth and the development of our local community. And so we currently have 5 initiatives that work towards enhancing our community. And what we're doing here today is one of those initiatives under Empower Our Family, where we're here supporting mental health awareness and advocacy.
Wow.
I don't do it by myself. I've got 355,000 women whose shoulders I stand on.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is there is a thread of community, right? It's not I, it's we.
That's right.
And really that's kind of the heart of what we're doing here, even with this mental health and wellness fair, and trying to kind of bring these resources and stuff to the community. So what I'm hearing is there is this kind of consistency of serving others. And so has that been something your life's been marked by throughout?
Absolutely. So again, the sorority's motto is service to all mankind. So since 1908, we started with the Mississippi Health Project, and on through the years, the Cleveland Job Corps, we have just been engaged at all levels from the very beginning. And so decade by decade, year by year, the sorority has been engaged in community activities and uplifting our community. And like I said, we have 5 initiatives. This is just part of one of them under Empowering Our Families. We have Building Economic Wealth, so teaching African Americans about generational economic wealth.
Come on.
Legacy.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we really have to get there. It's
Yes,
not
ma'am.
just about savings, but about generational wealth. We also have Strengthening Our Sisterhood, that we bind together as sisters. We have a community activity on enhancing our environment, where we are trying to make sure that we have sustainable resources for the entire environment.
Yes, ma'am.
We are working on uplifting our local community, where we have large initiatives to ensure that the community as a whole is growing and advancing. So that's what we do. And so we come out, we support, we're here to engage with everybody to ensure that we're growing.
Yes, ma'am. Wow. So when you and the sisters are doing this kind of work and you're serving in these capacities, hey, how you doing?
Good.
So when you're doing this,
just comes up.
see?
That's what we do.
See, I love it. Like you said, y'all roll deep.
Everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go is pink and green.
That's right.
I love it. That's so amazing. So I think one of the things, and again, not being a part of a fraternity and not necessarily experiencing that life, but what I see is just the power of community, the power of brotherhood, sisterhood, and relationships. And I guess in your experience, not just only within the sisterhood, but just even as a medical professional, there are benefits to being plugged into some type of community.
Yeah, absolutely. I attended the University of Rochester way back in the day, and I joined Alpha Kappa Alpha back then because I felt that we needed a strong national African American organization to help support the students and allow us to grow and to prosper. And so we had a chapter way back in 1982. That's when I joined. That really helped us to support the local community and to grow. And so, yes, I have linkages all across the country. I can connect with medical doctors across the country. I can connect with sisters anywhere, pretty much in the world, not just in the United States. And that sisterhood is so important that it allows us that wherever I go, I have family. I've got somebody I can connect to that I can plug right into their local program. So whether I go to Japan or Germany or Dubai, wherever, the Bahamas, wherever we have a chapters, I can plug into that local chapter's work because it's a national program, and we can influence people across the world.
Wow. So what would be real quick, what we can do is we can adjust. You can bring the mic closer to you because with the wind blowing, it'll catch that up. There you go. Yep. So then what would be some advice for our audience who might be listening that might be a part of the Rochester community? What would be some advice you would have for them in terms of getting involved, getting holistically well? What would be your professional advice?
So there's so many initiatives that are out in Rochester, and we have a lot of grassroots types of things that occur. And so I think it's important to be aware of all of the things and the resources. There's a lot in this community that's available to people. And so just begin looking at the social media websites and your podcast for information to understand what's out there. Personally, it's really about work-life balance. It's really about making sure that your mental health is primed and opportune, because if you're not mentally well, you're not going to be physically well.
Yes,
if you're not physically well, you can't function. Yes, so it's really important to be attuned to your body. Know when you're tired. Know when to take a break. Know when to just take a moment to breathe and relax and just be.
I love that. We often talk about work-life balance. Me and my team, we call it work-life rhythm, right? With the whole music aspect and this idea that sometimes everything won't be perfectly balanced, because sometimes, right, for me, I'm finishing up my master's degree in social work. There were some seasons where it was just right now, have to study, right, have to focus, have to get the papers done, get the assignments done. There are other seasons where it's, okay, chill, Desmond, enjoy wife, enjoy the daughters, focus in on family, and kind of knowing what that season is in that rhythm. The type of, if we're running with that analogy, what part of the song are you in? Who your dance partner is, what the tempo is. And so what I'm hearing from you is you found this amazing rhythm of serving in a medical professional capacity, serving with your sisters, and kind of knowing when that, rolling with that rhythm. And so has that been something that's always kind of come naturally to you, or what were the things?
So I call it legacy. So my father, Judge Roy King, who's has passed, had a legacy of service to the community.
Wow.
And so was a frontline attorney for 30-something years, and then was the first Black supervising judge of city court in Rochester, New York. Wow. And so his entire life was dedicated to service, and he led us in a legacy of serve the community. So since I was young, that's pretty much what we have done always. And the sorority was just a natural extension of that service and that legacy. And you have the analogy of a song, there's a chorus and there's a refrain, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you're in the season of that song, in the midst of doing your papers, take the break to do the refrain, right? Take the break to enjoy your family. Take a day, take it a couple hours, and just take that time to relax and recuperate.
I love that. I love that, because I think a lot of times people don't take the time to consider that it is your song.
That's right.
It you have a little bit more control than I think sometimes we don't think we do, right?
Right.
And so taking that ownership of what you're going to do in the song, how this thing's going to work, and so and realizing that for you, your song is legacy. It's this carrying on of this service that's tied to a name, that's tied to a community, and I think that's really powerful because I think sometimes we don't consider and really talk about legacy.
That's right.
And so I love that you're introducing kind of that conversation in there. And I think for our audience, I really want to encourage you that regardless of how old you are, you might be listening to this and you might be 19 and you're thinking, Desmond, legacy. Yeah, legacy is a thing you should be considering. What is the mark you're leaving behind? What will people know about you, know of you? How will you impact somebody else? And I think what you're talking about is just so powerful.
That's right. Each of us has an influence, right? It's
Yes,
like a
ma'am.
pebble in a pond, and those waves spread out and influence others. And so everything that you do has an impact on someone else's life. So think about what interactions you have and who else you're influencing and the downstream and upstream impacts of the words and the work that you do. Things that seem to be really small can be incredibly powerful and instrumental on someone else's life. So just take the time to do something, do anything in the community.
I love that. Dr. Harris, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Is there
you.
anything you want to tell the audience before we sign off?
So anyone who is currently inactive in Alpha Kappa Alpha, get that active again. The sisterhood is strong. We want to see you there. And for everyone else in the community, find your legacy, find your voice, and get involved.
There we go. We love it, y'all. I've been Desmond. This is Dr. Harris. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Bye-bye.